All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know, there's a threat that lands in our inboxes, our texts, and even our phone calls every single day. It's called phishing. And today, we're going to learn exactly how to spot it and how to avoid taking the bait.
I'm sure you know the feeling. You get that message that just makes you pause for a second. It's a text saying, hey, there's an issue with your delivery, click here to update your details. Or maybe it's an email from your bank asking you to confirm your password. It feels, well, a little off, but also kind of urgent, right? That feeling, that's the modern day lure of a digital predator. And believe me, the stakes are absolutely enormous. Just look at this number. According to a recent IBM report, that is the average cost of a single corporate data breach that starts with just one person clicking on a phishing email. Almost $5 million. It just goes to show you how devastating these seemingly simple scams can really be. So, what exactly is phishing? I mean, it's a term we all hear thrown around, but to really protect ourselves, we have to understand how the scam actually works. So, let's break this thing down. Okay, so at its absolute core, phishing is a game of deception. It's a type of cyber attack where criminals use fake, but often incredibly convincing messages to trick you. What's their goal? Well, it's pretty simple: to get you to reveal sensitive stuff like passwords and credit card numbers, or to trick you into downloading some nasty software onto your device. And here's the really wild part. Phishing isn't really about hacking computers. It's about hacking people. See, scammers aren't trying to break down some complex digital wall. They're trying to get you to open the front door for them. This whole technique is called social engineering, basically using our own human psychology, our trust, or our sense of urgency right against us. In the process, it's actually pretty simple, and it's no accident that it sounds a lot like actual phishing. First up, you've got the lure. That's the convincing email or text. Then comes the hook, an emotional trigger, something like fear or curiosity, that makes you want to react without thinking. Next is the action. You click the link, you open the attachment, and finally, the catch. That's when the scammer gets your data, your money, or access to your entire system. Of course, scammers don't just use one type of lure. They've got a whole toolkit full of different attacks, each one designed for different kinds of targets. So let's map out their main strategies. So on one hand, you have what's called bulk phishing. Think of this as the shotgun approach. Scammers just blast out thousands, even millions of generic emails, pretending to be big brands like Amazon or Netflix, just hoping a few people will bite. But on the other hand, you have spear phishing. This is the sniper approach. It's a highly targeted attack on a specific person or company, and it often uses personal details they found about you online to make the message seem incredibly legitimate. And you gotta remember, this is not just an email problem anymore. That weird call you got from your bank, well, that's called vishing, for voice phishing. That urgent text message about a package, that's smishing, for SMS phishing. Scammers even target entire organizations through something called business email compromise. And yep, you guessed it, your social media direct messages are a prime hunting ground too. With so many different ways to attack, the impact is, as you can imagine, widespread and often devastating. So let's talk for a minute about the real-world cost of actually taking the bait. Now, according to that same IBM research, phishing is the single most common way data breaches start. It's responsible for a full 15% of all the incidents they studied. It's consistently the crack in the armor for thousands and thousands of organizations every year. And this just shows you how high the stakes can really get. In one of the most famous examples ever, hackers targeted the 2016 US presidential campaign. And it wasn't some super complex, high-tech infiltration. Nope, it was a single fake password reset email that tricked a campaign chairman. That one click led to a massive data leak, proving that even the most high-profile, well-defended targets are vulnerable to the simplest tricks in the book.
Okay, so we know the threat is real. We know it's serious. But here's the good news. You can absolutely learn to spot these scams from a mile away. So let's look at the red flags that should be setting off all the alarm bells.
The most crucial thing you can do is just pause for a second and look for the classic red flags. First, does the message create a sense of panic, telling you that you have to act right now? Second, is it asking for sensitive information like a password or a social security number? That is a huge warning sign. Also, look for the small stuff. Bad spelling and grammar, or really vague greetings like "Dear Valued Customer." And please, always, always check the sender's real email address and hover your mouse over any links before you even think about clicking. And finally, if you get an attachment you weren't expecting, just don't open it, period. Here is a perfect example of just how subtle these scammers can be. At a quick glance, this email address looks like it's from Microsoft, right? But if you look really closely, you'll see the M isn't an M at all. It's actually an R and an N pushed together. It's a dead simple visual trick, but it's designed to fool a busy or distracted eye, and it works all the time. So spotting the signs is your first line of defense, for sure. But building a truly strong shield requires a more proactive approach. See, effective defense isn't about any one single thing. It's all about layers. On a personal level, it's about awareness, just knowing what those red flags are. For a company or an organization, it's about having smart policies in place, like requiring a simple phone call to confirm any request to transfer money. And finally, you have the technological layer. Using tools like multi-factor authentication is absolutely critical because it can stop a scammer cold, even if they've somehow managed to steal your password.
But at the end of the day, after all the technology and all the training, your single most powerful defense is just a good old-fashioned, healthy dose of skepticism. If a message feels wrong, it probably is. You've got to trust that gut instinct. Pause, think, and verify before you act.
But of course, it's a constant cat-and-mouse game. Just as we're building our defenses, the scammers are busy updating their attacks. The threat is always evolving. If you look back a decade ago, it was all about those generic bulk email scams. Then, we saw the rise of voice and text message attacks. But today, we're seeing brand new tactics like phishing. That's where a scammer puts a fake QR code on something like a parking meter or a restaurant menu. And when you scan it, it takes you to a malicious site. We're also seeing these really complex hybrid attacks that might start with an email, but then follow up with a convincing phone call to really sell the scam. And the next great leap forward for scammers is already here: artificial intelligence. According to security researchers at IBM, a convincing, personalized phishing email that used to take a human scammer maybe 16 hours to craft can now be generated by an AI in just 5 minutes. Think about that. This means we're about to see way more sophisticated, grammatically perfect, and highly personalized scams at a massive scale. So that really leaves us with a critical question, doesn't it? In a world where a perfect lure, a perfect scam can be created in just a few minutes, our own human awareness and our skepticism are more important than they have ever been. The tools of the phisher are getting sharper every single day. The real question is your shield ready?